Hello? Hello?
Is this Pablo's Animal Control?
Another
Look,
fucking
there's some
prank
sort of
call.
raccoon thing in my living room, and I need it out. It's hissing at me.
As technology is creating opportunities with AI to make a narrative. You can see that was Breeze Line. They've tried before to connect. The good thing here, and hopefully it won't change on the bill, because I'm sure that my Verizon statement is different. That's why I got 3 copies within 2.5 weeks so that I could look more closely at what is being reported. If you look at the call, it'll show the length of time. So, mm, there, it's listed. So the sound bite that broadband or the breeze line would create could only be 16 seconds long. Because, thank God, still on a call history log, you do have the length of time. This has got to end. I am at my wit's end. I can go ahead and go the mile. I have so far. And I need some support because what's being done is not right. It is psychological torture. It is discrimination. It is abuse of power. It is profiling. It is hate. I've never had an enemy in my life until Ryan DeLaha walked into it. And not knowing him, I rented one of my rooms for the summer to help him get back on his feet and charged him only $300 a month to live there, and he never paid a dime. He did try to offer some money, but that was after he knew I was already started with the eviction process. And he's smart enough to know that if I accepted payment, that there would be no grounds for him to be evicted in front of the magistrate. So I did not accept partial payment, and I continued with the eviction. And the last week that he was there, he decided to find some of my sympathetic neighbors to his words of woe. I don't know who he talked to, but he did make an alliance with Bill at 441 Como. Everything I say is true. I have no reason to lie. And this needs to end because this agenda that the group controlling the technology is on is not on a good trajectory. The fact that it alters natural sunlight should be alarming enough. Instead, what groups are doing is saying, "Ooh, that's cool. We can play with it." Or they're thinking, "This is neat. It can make us lots of money." I got to tell you something. This is not consistent. It's not predictable. And I believe it has a thought process that is independent of being controlled. But us humans, we like control and believe that this is able to be managed? Sorry to say, folks, I don't think so. And the only reason I say that is because it does not participate in all the active laws that exist in the universe as far as light and physics go. The physics one is a real mind blower. But when you think about it, it's not far off from the truth. The electromagnetic spectrum is divided into two separate categories. You have ionic and you have non ionic. Ionic radiation does break apart the molecular connectivity of matter. What that means is that molecules, like in a solid, that are really tightly packed together, and in a liquid, kind of have some swimming room, and in a gas, the world's limit. The molecular bond that exists when encountering ionic radiation breaks apart the bond. It begins to separate. So, in essence, what this technology is capable of doing is creating holes in matter. That's why when I had my 4 phones at the time and tossed them clearly on top of a bed in a hotel room near Yellow Springs, and I looked and I counted only 3, there was a problem. But it was a clue because this technology told on itself. And that's one thing that people need to understand. People have given clues because I pay close attention to my surroundings. Where the phone ended up was almost directly below the phones on the floor that I found only seconds later. That means that it went through 2 mattresses, blankets, sheets, and a frame. And I believe that this technology, which can impregnate itself into devices, which is why my um, uh, technology does not work properly. It's why there's excess memory when there's clearly not enough data or things on the phone to have it completely filled up. Um, which is why I end up having more than one phone. And I also want to preserve the pictures and video that I've collected. Although Arvid's doing a really good job of trying to erase it, just like he did everything else in my iCloud prior to March of 2018, so that he could claim something that is not true. As I was saying, with ionic radiation, which I believe it can be blown out of the or through the lenses of the technology that it creates. It creates a film that transfers existing light and changes it into different parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. We already know, as do the police and neighbors, that the technology can create anything in the visual spectrum. So, what it can be used for is to create invisibility basically by standing behind it and placing it in front of you because it will mask the environment that is in the background. It takes a minute to form and it is capturable on film, especially on a smart camera lens, which is more sensitive. The other thing that it does to hide itself is to transfer that light that is natural or from another light source and transfer it to ultraviolet light, which is much brighter. And that's why in some videos that you see on this channel, blindingly bright white light. It is not what you think it is because you think it's, oh, that's natural sunlight. The sun's right there. Gotta tell you, when I'm looking out a window that is faced due north and it's winter, I gotta tell you, you're wrong. But it doesn't matter what I say because people are still choosing not to believe. When the technology creates a zone or area of temporary suspension of molecular connectivity or bond, it means that a solid can move through another solid, which defies a law of physics. So, um, everybody thinks that this is the way of the future, or this is the way that we're going to have things that we want. One thing about the devil, and I'm just going based off of um, an essential truth. I've never met the thing that lives in the molten center of the earth, and which is why there are openings in the neighborhood that I have been able to identify. But the police are maybe or maybe not aware of that. They follow the federal government's rule or policy to not talk with targeted individuals. Stupid, because it's illegal, and in this instance, it's really, really important. When it creates that basically black hole where matter does not exist, that could happen to a lot of different things. God forbid if this ever got into our food, uh, in the production of processed foods. I can see it being used as a filler or gasoline. If we add it to our reserves, it could be eaten up and vanished by a sponge like sucking mechanism, and nobody would know where it all went. This does give people what they want, but there's always a consequence that is associated with it. And because of that truth, is it really worth getting what you want? Because when you do that, you end up getting what you don't want. We have a beautiful earth. Why on earth anybody would want to change the only place in the universe that's suited just for us and special is shocking. We have to stop manipulating our world. We are not to do that. That's God's job. And if we can learn to live in harmony with our environment and among each other, I think will be a lot happier. Because right now, a lot of people are miserable. I wrote last night about something, and I'm going to repeat it only because people aren't liking to read in 2023, and I do tend to extrapolate and extend sometimes. Yes, how can I help you? Yes. Can we check your phone? Sure, come on in. I'll be right back. All right, thank you. I appreciate you. I do not know him. I don't know any of the people who have been following me. I do not. It's really rough. And what this group is doing, because they believe Bill, that's why he's pissed off, is innocent people are getting wrapped up in his selfish agenda. And it's got to stop. I have asked the people controlling R&M to please stop this. And I think they're afraid. There's nothing to fear. We need to bring joy to the world instead of tears. My captors know I have done my share of crying, and slowly I've become brave. And I continue. Last night, I wrote let me find it.
The instrument was not good.
Do you have a line now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been having problems with my service.
Well, I'm glad what you told us because sometimes if you don't tell us, we won't know.
Hmm. I'm glad.
So there you go.
Thank you so much.
To dial out, you dial 9 and followed by the number.
That sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy your day.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks. What I want most is for people to stop being harmed by individuals in my neighborhood who are trying to do something tragic. Arvid may have started out in the guise of good and maybe was good, but I gotta say, when the truth became known, I was never informed of anything, and there was a deep desire to eliminate me from the equation. Um, so I don't know what the problem is because I am an outstanding person with incredible integrity and character, and I stand up for what I believe in, and I stand up for myself. I don't know what on earth the government would have against an individual like myself. And I normally don't pat myself on the back, but I got to tell you, what people have witnessed on video was me recording things that were not very serious in the beginning, but that I was able to notice and pick up on. And I believe that this technology is playing a game. But when you play a game, you're also not being honest. And if a technology is willing to call something something else, then it's not pure and of love. Because God, that created the earth, made everything visible and did not hide things. True, there's camouflage that animals have. It's true to fit their environment. We got to think about things a little bit more. And I'm begging people to please walk a nonviolent path. And let's get to the bottom of this because the molecular bond temporarily disappearing could maybe become permanent. Or what the military really wants to do, which would be to create Blackout Day. But how would we turn it back on? And how would the military see in pitch blackness? Because it creates it wherever it is. And if it's in the air, that means that all lights won't operate. It just will cease to exist. There will be light directly at the lens and it won't extend out into the environment. So you won't be able to see. So I don't know what the military thinks they're going to be able to accomplish with this. But they probably haven't thought that far ahead. When you're caught up in the disease of addiction, which my government is addicting to control, you fail to play the tape forward. Let's fix that. we can do it together. We can do amazing things. Good Friday to you guys. And God bless. From Columbus, Ohio, where I want to be